As the dirt has shifted, the shafts have sunk, and the stories have spun for over 2 centuries. One thing about Oak Island has become increasingly clear. The legend is far larger than the island itself. While physical digs have yielded tantalizing fragments, wood from the 1600s, coconut fibers, lead crosses, the true weight of the Oak Island mystery rests just as heavily in the world of ideas. Theories, myths, and speculations have clung to the island like morning fog, refusing to dissipate even under the spotlight of science and scrutiny. And perhaps no theory looms larger or longer than the story of the Knights Templar. This idea has captured imaginations for decades, and in recent years it has been increasingly amplified by media, books, and online forums, according to this theory. The legendary warrior monks whose order was founded in the early 12th century to protect Christian pilgrims in the Holy Land may have spirited away religious relics or sacred knowledge after their sudden fall from grace in the early 1300s. Pursued by the Church and French monarchy, some believe a sect of the Templars fled to Scotland. Then westward across the Atlantic, hundreds of years before Columbus ever set sail, could Oak Island have been one of their secret repositories? The theory suggests that the Templars, utilizing their skills in stonework and engineering, constructed elaborate booby traps, vaults, and even the island's supposed flood tunnel system to protect what they had hidden, possibly the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail, or ancient scrolls. Supporters often point to the lead cross found by Gary Drayton, which some believe resembles cruciforms worn by Templars. Others note that certain stone carvings and alignments on the island resemble known Templar geometry or sacred patterns. Yet, the evidence remains circumstantial. There are no definitive records of Templar voyages to the New World, and critics argue that the connection is one of romantic speculation rather than archaeological proof. Still, the allure of a secret medieval order crossing oceans to hide sacred treasures resonates deeply. It offers a tale of faith, flight, and purpose that matches the island's mythic tone. Closely related to the Templar idea is the theory that the island is connected to the Freemasons, an organization said to be descended in part from the Templars. The Masons, known for their secret rituals, symbolism, and rumored connections to political and architectural projects throughout history, are often cited in alternative theories about Oak Island. The Freemasonic theory hinges on patterns, recurring symbols such as the all-seeing eye, the number 33, in triangular arrangements allegedly present in the island's layout. Some researchers believe the original money, pit shaft, and surrounding features were laid out with sacred geometry in mind, a form of symbolic architecture intended to encode esoteric knowledge. References to Masonic rites, some claim, appear in various inscriptions and artifacts linked to Oak Island. While these patterns can often be interpreted multiple ways, it's the interpretive flexibility that fuels continued interest. To believers, the island is not just a dig site, but a ritual space, a message encoded in soil, stone, and secrecy. Then there's perhaps the most literary of the major theories, the idea that Sir Francis Bacon, philosopher and statesman of Elizabethan England, used Oak Island as a vault for sacred documents, possibly even early drafts of Shakespeare's plays. Bacon was a known advocate for encrypting and preserving knowledge, and some theorists argue that he led a secret society devoted to protecting human enlightenment through hidden repositories. Supporters point to alleged ciphers in Shakespearean texts, symbols on Oak Island that mirror those in Baconian code, and even supposed maps that trace back to Elizabethan England. In this telling, the treasure is not gold, but literature, history, philosophy. This idea, like many others, has been met with skepticism. The leap from literary code-breaking to physical excavation is substantial, and few tangible artifacts have been linked directly to Bacon. Still, the notion is compelling. It transforms the Oak Island mystery from a pirate stash to a cultural time capsule, potentially housing the world's most valuable intellectual treasures. A more grounded theory, though no less fascinating, is that the island may have been used by early French or Spanish settlers or naval commanders to hide valuable cargo during times of war or political upheaval. The 17th and 18th centuries were rife with conflict between European powers. Ships frequently carried gold, silver, religious icons, and trade goods through the treacherous waters of the Atlantic. Could one of those ships, fearing capture or storm, have offloaded its cargo to the secluded shores of Nova Scotia? This theory has practical appeal. It explains the multicultural array of artifacts found on the island, bone fragments from multiple continents, foreign coins, and imported materials like coconut fiber. It also aligns with the idea that Oak Island was simply a good hiding place, remote, forested, and easy to mark without being discovered. Yet this idea also raises questions. Why go to such elaborate lengths to dig complex shafts and tunnels? Why flood the pit? Why the traps? Some theorists suggest that perhaps Oak Island's features are not the result of one grand plan, but the overlap of multiple, smaller events, pirate caches, shipwreck survivors, smugglers, or colonial refugees, all leaving behind traces that collectively create the illusion of a single enormous treasure. It's a humbling thought, one that invites us to consider the possibility that the mystery isn't singular, it's plural. As Part 6 continues, we'll explore even more expansive and unexpected ideas, from pirate legends to global conspiracy, and finally, the deeper psychological question behind it all. Why do we need Oak Island to hold treasure at all? If the legends of the Knights Templar and Sir Francis Bacon offer a lens of mysticism and philosophy, the theories tied to pirates and naval intrigue offer a different appeal, one grounded in action, risk, and the chaotic nature of maritime life in the 17th and 18th centuries. For many, this idea feels more plausible, if not more romantic. Oak Island as the final hiding place of a pirate's treasure. A Scottish privateer turned pirate, Kidd was active in the late 1600s and is rumored to have hidden portions of his plunder before being captured and executed in London in 1701. The idea that he may have sailed north to Nova Scotia and buried part of his wealth on Oak Island has been suggested for more than a century. Among the most frequently named suspects is the infamous Captain William Kidd. There is, however, no direct historical record placing Kidd near Mahone Bay. Perhaps it was intended to be recovered later. Perhaps it never was, though their routes primarily took them through the Caribbean and along the southeastern coast of the Americas. It's possible they used Nova Scotia's remote shores for hiding cargo. Over time, the lines blurred. Items were buried, forgotten, rediscovered, and misunderstood. So have nautical tools, iron spikes consistent with shipbuilding, and wooden structures dated 2 times when Nova Scotia was still largely unsettled. While some argue these items could have arrived by trade, shipwreck, or later occupation, others see them as clues pointing toward organized effort. What was once a cache of silver bars became a legend of religious relics. What began as a survival strategy became an enduring myth. A few theorists believe the outline of a ship can still be detected in the triangular shape of the swamp. The old nailer, wood plank, perhaps a remnant of a previous excavation, misdated or relocated by floodwaters. Without a clear chain of custody or stratified context, many finds remain frustratingly inconclusive. Some authors propose secret maps, hidden codes, or oral histories passed down in coastal families. Others trace genealogical links between island locals and known pirates. The idea that multiple parties, pirates, naval agents, religious sects each, left their own mark only adds depth to the mystery. There is even an argument that the entire money pit legend was fabricated in the early 1800s by individuals seeking investment in a fictitious treasure hunt. Though this theory is among the most controversial, the vessel was intentionally scuttled and covered with earth. Could it have held more than cargo? Many pirate captains were experts at deception and misdirection, hiding treasures in obscure places and leaving no map behind. The connection is mostly built on inference. That Kidd had reason to hide treasure, that Oak Island was remote, a vertical shaft leading down to a ship's hold, sealed and protected with traps to ensure that only the rightful heirs or initiated members could reclaim it. Such a theory explains the elaborate booby traps, coconut fiber filtering systems, and the immense effort required to retrieve anything of value and forested, and that similar rumors of buried treasure were common in New England and the Maritime provinces during the early 18th century. The quest for treasure becomes a mirror for the people searching for it. Their desires, their beliefs, their stories. Still, the story stuck. The romantic vision of buried chests guarded by wooden traps and seawater defenses fits neatly into the classic pirate mythos. Other names have been proposed over time. Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard, the French pirate La Bouillies, even Henry Morgan. And it's not only pirates that figure into this theory. The chaos of colonial warfare and international trade brought countless naval vessels through the Atlantic corridor. French, British, Spanish, and Portuguese ships carried not only gold and silver, but also religious artifacts, state secrets, and cargo with significant cultural value. In this context, Oak Island becomes not a pirate's lair, but a covert naval repository, a place to hide something that couldn't fall into enemy hands. Some theorists argue that multiple layers of activity occurred on Oak Island. Pirates may have hidden loot in one section, while military officials or secret societies used other areas for more sacred or strategic purposes. Supporting evidence is scarce, but not non-existent. Coins from multiple centuries and empires have been found on the island. The swamp has also added fuel to these ideas, as the team uncovered more anomalies beneath the murky water. One theory gained traction, that the swamp may once have been a dry dock or harbor, a place where a ship was intentionally brought in, dismantled, or even buried whole. There's even speculation that the money pit itself may have been the access point to such a buried vessel. Yet, as compelling as these ideas are, they face the same challenge as all Oak Island theories. Proof. Artifacts that seem conclusive in isolation often lose weight under scrutiny. That 17th century coin could have arrived through trade or been dropped by a 19th century worker. That hasn't stopped enthusiasts from pushing forward. Whole books have been written about the idea of pirate treasure on Oak Island, but even critics acknowledge one thing: something happened on Oak Island. Whether it was a singular, coordinated effort or a series of unrelated events, the island holds physical evidence that human activity occurred there long before the first recorded treasure seekers arrived. It also adds complexity, because the more overlapping theories emerge, the harder it becomes to isolate a single truth. As we continue to peel back these layers, one theme becomes more apparent. Oak Island is not just a mystery of what is hidden, but why we believe something is hidden at all. In the next section, we'll dive into the modern age of Oak Island theorizing. From fringe internet theories to the interconnected web of conspiracies, symbology, and alternative history that continues to grow with every passing year. As Oak Island's mystery entered the 21st century, the search for explanations expanded far beyond the confines of Nova Scotia's shores. The theories, no longer confined to dusty archives or whispered tavern tales, began to multiply across the internet. It's about people, ordinary people who found something extraordinary in the idea that Oak Island might be the nexus of a global secret. YouTube, Reddit, blogs, and books turned Oak Island into a modern mythos, a symbol not just of lost treasure, but of the human need to find meaning. According to proponents, the layout of Oak Island itself is no accident. It is a carefully designed map, a node in a much wider network stretching across continents. It's the type of theory that widens the scope until Oak Island becomes less a treasure hunt and more a cosmic jigsaw puzzle. They point to alignments between the island's landmarks, such as the Money Pit, Nolan's Cross, and the Swamp, and sacred geometrical figures like the Tree of Life, the Vesica Piscis, and pentagrams. This part of the story isn't about pirates or kings. These are the years when the phrase "everything is connected" took root. In this theory, the island is part of a vast cover-up to conceal the lineage of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. Some researchers suggest Oak Island hides remnants of a forgotten civilization with knowledge far beyond its time, perhaps preserved and hidden to protect it from destruction. Nolan's Cross, a geometric stone formation on the island, is said to be a Templar-coded symbol of resurrection and divine lineage. One of the more pervasive modern theories suggests that Oak Island is part of a larger, global conspiracy involving ancient civilizations, sacred geometry, and secret societies. Through crowdsourced translations of ancient documents, side-by-side map comparisons, and advanced sonar analysis, independent investigators have offered new angles that even the official Oak Island team has considered. For the unknown, for hope. For the part of us that refuses to stop asking, what if? But even the most outlandish ideas like time travel vaults, interdimensional portals, or ancient energy grids speak to a larger human desire, the longing for purpose. Podcasts dissect each episode of The Curse of Oak Island. Forums track every new artifact. People pause frames to study dirt patterns, overlay graphs on maps, and propose hypotheses as complex as they are passionate. Where there was a hole, we imagined a vault. Where there was a cross, we saw a map. And where there was mystery, we wove meaning. Why does Oak Island continue to captivate? Why are we drawn to stories without endings? And what does it say about us that the treasure we're researching for might not be gold at all, but belief for a hidden truth, or a secret just beneath the surface? The answer, often, is comfort. In a chaotic world, the idea of a grand plan, even one hidden beneath a small island, offers meaning. It provides something stable to believe in. Anyone with an internet connection can now access historical maps, academic journals, and satellite imagery. Tools like Google Earth allow for remote analysis of geography. Forums allow for instant collaboration. The result is a sea of speculation that evolves in real time. Some claim these alignments match Templar cathedrals in France. Others argue they correspond with ancient Egyptian pyramids, Stonehenge, or even Mayan ruins. Is it plausible? Perhaps not. But it's persistent. That's right. Some theorists believe Oak Island may be the site of ancient alien contact. According to this view, the underground structures, mysterious symbols, and advanced engineering techniques suggest influence from non-human intelligence. Fueling this explosion of alternative theories is the accessibility of information. For every video exploring the Freemasons' involvement, there's another drawing connections to extraterrestrials. Now, these ideas are often met with skepticism, but their presence speaks to something important. Oak Island has become a blank canvas onto which people project their own beliefs, interests, and fears. Others believe Oak Island is tied to the Holy Bloodline theory, a narrative popularized by the Da Vinci Code and various pseudo-historical works. There are even theories involving the lost continent of Atlantis. The line between exploration and myth-making blurs quickly in this space. Yet it's not all fringe and fantasy. Some amateur researchers have made valuable contributions. Still, for every plausible theory, there are dozens more that defy reason. And this is what Oak Island has come to represent in the digital age. It's no longer just a place, it's a metaphor. Psychologists have studied this phenomenon. Why people become obsessed with conspiracy theories, ancient mysteries, or unsolved puzzles. The rise of Oak Island content online has turned fans into theorists, theorists into authors, and authors into influencers. In some ways, this wave of speculation mirrors the history of the search itself. From the moment three boys found that strange depression in 1795, people have filled in the blanks. As we prepare for the final part of this chapter, we'll move from the theories themselves to the psychology behind them. Why does Oak Island continue to hold our attention? Why, after more than 200 years without a definitive discovery, do we still care? Why does each new theory, no matter how improbable, rekindle interest and renew hope? The idea that something precious, whether it be gold, wisdom, or a lost truth, could lie just beyond reach is a recurring theme in cultures around the world. And Oak Island, with its strange geometry and unanswered questions, becomes a canvas for that universal longing. For others, it's spiritual, a quest for something sacred or meaningful. Buried not just underground, but within ourselves. The act of searching becomes a ritual. The island becomes a mirror. The answer, in part, lies not in the soil of Nova Scotia, but in the soil of the human mind. We are creatures of story. Since the dawn of language, humans have passed down legends, parables, myths, and tales of hidden things. Ideas that were once fringe become mainstream simply because they feel good to believe. Generations of labor, millions of dollars, lifetimes of effort, it all builds a psychological weight that demands a payoff. Confirmation bias, groupthink, and the echo chamber effect make it easy to cling to the idea that Oak Island must hold something. After all, why else would so many people still be looking? A mystery that brings people together, a platform for learning about history, geology, engineering, literature, and psychology.
And what will I do if there's nothing there?
A shared story that spans centuries and continents, pulling together farmers, scientists, spiritualists, skeptics, and dreamers. Treasure in this context is symbolic. For him, the journey is its own reward. The friends made, the knowledge gained, the moments shared with his brother Marty and their team, these are treasures too, invisible ones, the kind that don't rust or fade. For some, it represents material hope, the dream of striking it rich, of unearthing a vault that changes lives. A whisper, a mirror, Psychologists have likened this kind of obsession to what's known as the Zeigarnik effect, our tendency to remember and fixate on incomplete tasks more than completed ones. Because Oak Island has never delivered a final answer, our minds refuse to let it go. The story is still open, the ending unwritten. This is especially true for those who've made the island a personal mission, a place that teaches patience, humility, wonder, and doubt. A legend that survives not because of what's buried, but because of what it unearths in us. Families have passed the obsession down through generations. Fathers and sons, mothers and daughters have stood on the same shoreline, peered into the same dig sites, and wondered the same question. What lies beneath? Even those who've never set foot on Oak Island feel the pull. They watch from afar, read the books, join the forums, and carry the mystery in their minds like an heirloom. And in today's digital age, the boundary between reality and mythology is thinner than ever. Theories evolve in real time. Community consensus builds quickly. There's also the emotional investment, the psychological phenomenon of sunk cost. The longer we spend on something, the harder it is to walk away. But what if the real payoff isn't gold? What if Oak Island has already given us something more enduring? In that light, the lack of an answer becomes the gift. Because when you dig and never reach the bottom, you're forced to ask deeper questions. Why am I digging? What do I hope to find? Rick Lagina has often said that he's at peace with the possibility of never finding the treasure. And perhaps that's the quiet truth of Oak Island. That it's not just a mystery to be solved, but a ritual to be experienced. As the wind continues to sweep across Mahone Bay, and the diggers dig, and the theorists theorize, Oak Island remains what it has always been, a question. And for those who choose to listen, that's more than enough.